Hi everyone, today I'm going to go over some basic knife skills and talk about our beautiful Harvest of the Month material for the month of January, which is Maine Potato Month, and just kind of talk about how to incorporate local Maine grown potatoes into your school meal programs. So I've got two varieties here. I have your kind of classic chef white potato. These are from Green Thumb Farms in Western Maine in Fryeburg. And then the classic caribou russet potatoes from up in the county. These are from Irving Farms in Caribou. So two really great varieties. I just picked these up at the grocery store, but Maine potatoes are something that you can find mostly year-round, but definitely this time of year. It's end of December, and they are readily available in most markets, and food distributors have them. So we have three recipes as part of the Harvest of the Month program that I'm going to make in other videos, but I just wanted to take a minute to go over the material that we send out as part of the Harvest of the Month program. So we have this really beautiful promotional poster that just has a couple of illustrations for different Maine varieties of potatoes. We have this lovely fact sheet that has two different recipes and some fun facts about potatoes. We have this sheet here which has three recipes, the ones I'm going to be making today, that have two different yields. They have a at-home yield, which is about 6 to 8 servings, so that we're encouraging you to share that with your families, the families of the kids, so they make it at home, and then also school yield, which is about 50 servings. And then we have, new this year, we have some fun little, what we're calling source cards. So these are nice little index cards, and I mail out a couple per school, but I definitely encourage you to laminate them so you can use them more than one time. And this just says potatoes. The Harvest of the Month ingredient is potatoes sourced from, and then you'd fill in what farm you got them from, and then where that farm is. So just a way to connect students to where their food is coming from. And then this meal pattern poster. So this is a fun one. You can really come up with a lot of cool activities. And it's basically just like a blank meal tray with some potato graphics on it. And then you can fill it in with either some fun illustrations and graphics or words, so your students can really see what dish on their meal tray is incorporating those local potatoes. Cool, so just wanted to go over all of that. And let's get into some basic knife skills. So the potatoes that I have here in the recipes all call for slightly different variations on how to prep them. And I'm going to peel all of these. And that's sort of a personal preference, but I generally peel everything unless it's organic, because a rule of thumb is that the skin is like a natural barrier. Just like on us humans, our skin protects us from the elements, from the weather, from things that we don't necessarily want to get into our body. Same can be said for a potato. So the skin is where you're going to absorb any kind of stuff in the soil that you don't want. So I think it's a pretty good rule to remove the skin from most of what we're eating. And you're just going to take a basic peeler. Potato skin is pretty thin, so I'm never going to use a knife to peel it. Just a regular handheld peeler. It's pretty quick work. And one great thing about potatoes is when you think about the yield, so the edible part of a vegetable, that the part that you're going to eat versus the part that you're going to compost or throw away, potato has a really high yield. You're not getting rid of a lot, maybe 2% of the volume, and then this is solid edible plant, basically, that you can eat. So you're not wasting a lot. So if you buy a pound of potatoes, you're going to end up with maybe 0.98 pounds of edible potato. You're really not throwing away too much. So we all know, hopefully, how to peel a potato. And the first recipe that we're going to do calls for a shredded potato. So most kitchens will have something like this, and can't get any simpler than that. Just running it through this cheese grater, getting some nice shreds. This is what you'll often see in hash browns for breakfast. We're using it today in our cheddar cheese potato breakfast bake. And It's that simple. And you can prep your potatoes, you can shred, you can dice, you can chop a day in advance, and you can just store in water in a Cambro or a container and put it in the fridge so it doesn't start to oxidize. But you can definitely prep this in advance. And really the only thing is to be careful when you start to get to the end of the potato here to not shred off your fingers, because we all know that you're more likely to hurt yourself on something like this than something like this, because you're not really thinking, you're not thinking it's like a sharp, dangerous object, so you're going to go fast and hurt yourself. Awesome. So that's our shredded potato. Put that aside. And then our apple pie potatoes call for sticks, like matchsticks. So same thing, I'm going to really quickly peel my potato here. Okay, so a matchstick, I'm thinking something that's going to be a long, thin rectangle, but I'm starting with something that is kind of a circle. So I'm not going to get perfect matchsticks from all the pieces, but I can do my best. And so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to give this some flat edges. So just take two of the sides off like that, and I'm definitely going to use those. But now I have a flat surface, and it's going to slip around a little bit because the potato's got some moisture. But now I'm going to go down and I'm going to slice into about somewhere between 1/4 of an inch and 1/2 inch into planks. And I'm doing the kind of, I go down with the front of my knife and then back. Slow and steady. This is surprisingly slippery, so I'm really just taking my time. And then I've got these lovely flat planks like that. So then the next step is to turn them on their side and then just go same width, other direction. So I have little pieces like this, little matchsticks. And then take those two little end pieces, and definitely don't want to waste those. Just kind of cut them. And the idea here is that no matter how big you make these matchsticks, they're all relatively uniform, so they cook evenly in the oven. All right. And then the other recipe, the cheesy potato hand soup, calls for peeled and diced potatoes. So I love the russets because they're pretty uniform and easy to handle. They're usually a larger variety of potato, and they're also almost always the variety that is available to us. And all-purpose. You can use them for all sorts of different applications. And they're great. Some room on my cutting board. So for this one, I'm not going to bother taking off the ends and making it flat. It's already like got a pretty nice workable shape to it. So I'm just going to cut it into quarters. These are about 1/2 inch thick. Like that. Line them up, go down 1/2 inch into slightly larger than we just made matchsticks, like so. Always keeping my knuckles curled in so I'm not accidentally slipping and cutting off the end of my finger. Turning them once again, going 1/2 inch into medium dice. And that is basically it. You can see the three different, we have the shredded, the matchsticks, and the dice. These are most commonly found in recipes and definitely in all of the Harvest of the Month recipes that we have. You can see it's pretty simple, take your time, not a lot of waste, which is awesome. This is going to go into my compost bin. And those are some basic knife skills for potatoes.